Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to talk about Eve and G and the ability to cluster multiple servers or virtual machines to act as one. Uh, it's something that I've looked at to help with the resource issue. So as you play more and more with Eve and G, if you're like me, you want to build large scale labs and they're very resource intense. And what happens is you get to a certain amount of nodes in your topology and your CPU is maxed out and the lab performs really poorly and you really can't be efficient in your labbing. So EVNG does offer uh, a pro version of the software, which I have up here on the site, so you can see EVNG cluster is for large enterprises, scalability, multi-servers as one, all that good stuff. And they give you a little picture to show you, they're mix and matching kind of bare metals versus VMs and that type of thing. So the gotcha with this is if you were to go to deploy this, you have to buy the pro version. So when you go to the pro version, um, so when you go buy and you say buy now, you'll see here that it's 150 euros, and you can then go through and cluster everything, but it's going to cost you some money out of pocket, which it's not a terrible amount of money. But I think there's a kind of a comparable way to maybe accomplish something similar. It's not as elegant by any means, but um, you can certainly kind of take advantage of more than one server as far as resources go. So let's get into it. So what I've got here is a ESXi host that is running uh, an instance of Eve. In this particular case, it's Evo 2. Okay, I've got another one running, which is Evo 1 on a different ESXi host. So two different virtual machines on two different ESXi hosts. Now the idea is that we want to get them to be able to communicate with one another. So what we can do is in our topology, there's the notion of networks or clouds. So what I have here is if I right click and say edit, you can select a bridge or options cloud 0 through cloud 9. Bridge will basically, if you were to drop a bridge in here and connect all the devices to that bridge, it's very much like a hub. So they just all kind of communicate with one another as far as the lab topology goes, which is kind of nice if you want to do like a management network or something along those lines. For this particular case, I have Cloud 0 chosen. So Cloud 0 will map to the first virtual network interface card on your EVNG server. So whether you're running VMware Workstation local to like a laptop or a PC, or you're running ESXi host, it's still going to do the same thing. It's going to map to the very first VNIC on that machine. Cloud 1 will map to the next one, Cloud 2, so on and so forth. So you can essentially have multiple VNICs on each server. So if you look here, when you look at the actual virtual machine, we can see that I have one network adapter and it's connected and it's VLAN 20. So that kind of goes back to the idea of mapping that VLAN 20, which is that subnet, to that particular NIC. So once you do that, you can take whatever devices you want to add and connect it to that cloud. So in this case, I have a border switch Evo 1. So it's some lame description to basically say that this layer 2 switch lives on the Evo 1 server and it's the border switch between the two. So it is running, a layer 2 version of Cisco iOS. And then this is a basic iOS router that's connected to the switch itself. So if we want to look at those configs, you can see that in fact, I'll just go to the boxes themselves. So let's just. So I've got the Evo 1 apply or the router and the switch on the left hand side. The Evo 2 router and switch are on the right hand side. So if you go to show IP interface brief, we can see that the switches don't have actual IP addresses. They have two interfaces that are in the up state, but there's no actual IP addresses. They really are only doing layer 2 VLANs. So I have a VLAN 20 mapped on each switch, okay? And that VLAN is essentially being trunked on two interfaces, ETH0 and ETH1, in both instances of the topology. So if we go back, you can see here's the switch. ETH00 and ETH01 are basically each configured as a trunk, which is allowing that VLAN to come from the cloud to the switch, through the switch to this router. So then the routers, if we look at those guys, you can see that there is a Ethernet 01 on both of those, has an affiliated IP address that is 20.1 and 2 respectively, with a subnet mask of 24 bits or 255, 255, 255. We can see that it's up. And then I went as far as putting a loop back. We'll come back to that in a second here. But the idea, actually, we'll talk about it real quick. So the loop back, I just chose an arbitrary IP address. So in this case, I put 172.16.1.1 on router 1, and I put 1.2 on router 2. And those are actually /32s. So you can see that all 255s. And then just to have a little fun, I just enabled EIGRP. And I advertised not only the loopbacks, but the /30 that connects the two virtual, the two EVNG virtual servers together through the cloud. So with any luck, this router should be able to ping. So just to kind of visualize it one more time. So if I try to ping from this loopback to this loopback, okay, so if I come over on Evo 1 branch router and I say ping 172.16.1.2 and I source it from my loopback 0, you can see that it works. It's successful. If once I have connectivity from the two, I had made mention that I layered EIGRP. So show run section EIGRP. I have a basic instance of EIGRP running on both routers, and I advertise the two. So now if I verify my neighbors, I can see that I have a neighbor .2 from EVNGO1's perspective, and I have neighbor 1 from EVNGO2's perspective. So then if I say show IP route, I can see, again, very basic topology here, but I can see that those loopbacks are in fact being learned through EIGRP. So what does this mean? This means that now you can take, let's just grab another Cisco router here. We'll just call it R2, right? Save it. So I can basically I can create multiple instances of devices, right? So I can say router. So let's just add, 10. Okay, so we've just added 10 more routers to the topology, and the idea is that every single router that you connect, you can essentially take it to, the cloud, right? And you can do this with any devices you want to use. You want to do multi-vendor environment, you can deploy whatever you want. But the idea is that you connect all this stuff to either the cloud or a switch behind the cloud, which is what I did. And you can build all of these resources will essentially be running on this particular instance of EVE-NG for the server using its resources. So when you start to get tight on resources or you max this out or come close to maxing it out, on the other side of that cloud, you can start to build out your environment on this side as well. So it's not a true cluster per se, but it is a kind of a workaround band-aid version of being able to use more than one server and incorporating them into a single lab. And the beauty of it is, you can see, so if I close this through the power of secure CRT, if I click on the evo2 branch router, it opens up in secure CRT. And then if I go back to the branch router for evo1 and I hit open, I can actually work inside of the same secure CRT instance and kind of, be more efficient. I don't have to have multiple windows opening. So it's kind of it's a nice kind of complement to the lab. You can be a little faster, more efficient. So again, kind of a workaround way to utilize or take advantage of more resources. And you could do this for multiple servers, right? So I actually have two more versions of ESXi running, two more hosts. I have a total of four. So you can build an EVE-NG server on each one of those ESXi hosts, and you can essentially kind of make them all work together in a single lab or single topology by just using the basic cloud implementation. So I'm sure EVE-NG wouldn't be happy with me for describing this, and as long as they offer the ability to do the network cloud type nodes in their free version, you can take advantage of this functionality. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, leave comments, criticisms. I'm up for the good and the bad. So please let me know what you think. If you like this video, also let me know. I want to start to do more of these and do kind of show you some labs that I've kind of worked on, some multi-vendor stuff. So I'm hoping that this is one of many. And, I hope to see you guys back again soon. So thank you.